But then we move on to Jazzy coming out.
Jazzy. She wants the limelight bad, don't she?
I hated her makeup. I don't know. Is she pregnant? Is Jazzy pregnant? Was she pregnant?
Now, I didn't see that. I saw work done. Like I
Or
saw
like
what.
it's swollen? Like
Yeah,
it's
it,
swollen.
it
She's
didn't
still.
set.
I think
It
she
didn't
was still
set.
swollen.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
didn't
it was
set.
giving Sheree when Sheree had got that
Yeah,
work done. She was still swollen. I was like either that or she pregnant. Child. I didn't know what was going on. But then
yeah.
they basically go ahead.
No, I was just saying the hair wasn't good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't like a fan. So sweet though, because she really wants the limelight.
No, yeah, I enjoyed her. She was nice. But then they come in and they basically just are trying to get the timeline whether or not she was a side chick, and she basically goes in and says that she wasn't. She never knew anything about the girl. The girl basically said that they weren't together. At the end of the day, I think two things can be true. I think
Yeah,
yeah, you weren't a side chick, but there's some
but the
overlap,
nigga could have been
sis.
lying.
Yeah, he was lying. There's some overlap happening, sis.
Some overlap.
Um, like
I
you
always
know,
thought that story was weird, but I think that people they were putting it more on her and not enough on him. That
but
for
that's
me
how it's always gonna
personally.
go. It's always going to be the
Fair,
woman over the man. Always.
fair,
That's just how it
fair.
goes. It's just so crazy how it can be a man's world, but somehow women can get men to do all this crazy stuff. But we live in a man's world. It's
My
crazy how men can be weak and meager, but then men should be in charge. I just always have found that really interesting.
I my notes literally say poor Jazzy. Because then when they were, I literally said poor Jazzy.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a sense, I felt bad. I'm also a firm believer of how you get them is how you lose them.
Oh, 100%.
Um, so again, and you like you said, two things can be true. And there was some overlap. I just don't think I think she gave that story too much light. I don't think they would have talked about it as much if she didn't keep bringing him up and their living situation and him with his children. I think she gave us just a couple more seeds than we needed, and they
Mm-hmm.
kind of just they planted themselves. To be honest with you,
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point because she was answering questions and saying things, and maybe you know what, like you said, she wanted a spotlight. She thought that was going to be some good enough mess to like kind of
yeah,
build
but it didn't
upon a
reflect well.
storyline.
It didn't land.
It didn't land. It's when you're doing things like that. She honestly, well, I was going to say that when you're coming into a group full of women that have been married or are married, the last thing that they want to do is be around a side chick.
Mm-mm. They're gonna hold that to you forever.
But But this is the gag, though. I would say that normally wouldn't work, but there's someone sitting in first chair that is
Mia,
and was a side chick.
Mia. But you know,
So maybe it works.
but does it work? Because they remind Mia, she been married to Gordon for years. They remind Mia every single chance they get that you met your husband in the strip club.
But they don't. But with somebody like Mia, she don't care. That don't mean
Well,
nothing to her.
well, she's
What that mean, Ann? I did.
yeah,
What does that mean?
she do,
Sure did.
yeah.
Enjoyed it. Wrote
And
a book
that's it.
about it.
Yeah,
Like,
fair.
what does
Okay,
that
yeah, no
matter?
fair, no fair.
So then they kind of jump into after they figure out the whole side chick thing. Then they kind of jump into what happened at GNA of them being kicked out. And she was like, "You could have kicked us out quietly," which I thought was really funny because they was like, "Well, how do you do that?" Well, maybe not yelling across the hall. I mean,
No,
yelling
because
across
that
the
was
venue.
ghetto.
I was another thing I want to say about this. The bar is so low for Giselle.
Yeah.
She has given us such poor behavior in the past that any morsel of civility, growth, they're
Mhm.
like, oh my God. When Andy's like, oh my God, Giselle, look at you just apologizing so quickly. And it's like,
That's the
wow,
norm.
her being
That's
an
the norm.
adult, just her being an adult. Wow. Crazy how that works. Like, what do you, like, what?
The crazy thing about that, the whole first of all, the GNA situation, I mean, let's just start from you kicking those people out. You were just mad again. And again, she did apologize. Giselle said she apologized to the ladies, right? Okay, fine. I mean, it was disrespectful. And again, this was a charity for your deceased father. You shouldn't even have had that type of anger and wickedness in your heart for you to even lash out like that. And again, you were right.
Um,
This all came down from Karen, but you knew
mm,
she booked that second event. You,
I,
you
I kind of disagree with you.
why?
Uh, okay. I don't disagree with you. but I see where Giselle's coming from in her anger. Anything that if I was hosting an event for my grandmother, I want everything to go right. I want everything to be
Okay.
perfect, especially if it's in her name. If I behave like Giselle, I am not right in how I behaved.
Right.
But I can understand how heightened she was, because I even felt like that was out of character for her. I was like, what the fuck is that? She was so upset.
She was really upset.
But because she took it so personally.
Fair.
It was about her father. And so I totally get where she was coming from. Wrong execution. And I think that is, okay, I'll put it this way. In the same way that she doesn't like to cry, I think in this is the same way that how she lost her shit in the GNA event. She was apologizing for letting her emotions fly in that way because she knew it was actually misguided. And so I felt like she was like, oh, I'm doing too much. And she was able to take a look back. She was like, this is about Karen at the end of the day. And I mean, that's what she admitted. And great that she changed, but at the end of the day, she's in her 50s. Like, wow, she apologized. Like, I don't think she should get a fucking
cookie, a slap on the
face.
She didn't get like a handshake. Like it was really
that was crazy.
Go
ahead.
I will say though, did you not catch? I mean, I was in hysterics laughing. This was probably the funniest part of the reunion to me when they spoke about the GNA rebrand. Did you hear all stuttering like Sylvester the cat?
Oh, spring, summer, joggers, fall. It was giving She by Sheree.
I was like, is this She by Sheree?
No, what took me out was Andy talking about, so it's not a money-making venture anymore. When he said that, I was like, ooh, Andy. Andrew.
Mia said, so